Once upon a time in the land of Israel, during a period when there was no king, and every man did what was right in his own eyes, there lived a Levite who resided in the remote hill country of Ephraim. This Levite was not like the priests who served in the temple, but belonged to the tribe chosen to serve God and his people. This Levite had taken a concubine, a woman from Bethlehem in Judah. Though she was not a full wife, she was loved and cared for by him. However, trouble arose when she was unfaithful to him. Hurt and ashamed, she fled from his home and returned to her father's house in Bethlehem, where she stayed for 4 months. The Levite, his love for her undiminished, decided to seek her out and persuade her to return. He took his servant and 2 donkeys, traveling the dusty roads to Bethlehem. Upon arriving at her father's house, the concubine's father welcomed him warmly, for he was delighted to see the Levite and hoped for reconciliation. For 3 days, they feasted and celebrated, with the father urging the Levite to stay longer. On the 4th day, as the Levite prepared to leave early, the father begged him to stay for 1 more meal. The Levite agreed, but as the afternoon waned, he grew insistent on departing. Though the father urged him to wait until morning, the Levite, his concubine, and his servant set out. They traveled late into the day, passing the city of Jebus, later Jerusalem. The servant suggested they stop there for the night, but the Levite refused, saying, "We will not stop in a city of foreigners who are not Israelites. Let us go on to Gibeah or Ramah." As the sun dipped below the horizon, they arrived in Gibeah, a town belonging to the tribe of Benjamin. They entered the city square, but no one offered them hospitality. They waited, weary and unsure of where to rest, until an old man returning from his fields noticed them. The man, originally from Ephraim like the Levite, invited them to his home, providing food for their donkeys and washing their feet. As they sat eating and drinking, the night took a dark turn. The men of the city, described as wicked and depraved, surrounded the house. They pounded on the door, shouting, "Bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him." Horrified, the old man stepped outside and pleaded with them, saying, "No, my brothers, don't do such an evil thing. This man is my guest. Don't commit this disgraceful act. Instead, let me bring out my virgin daughter and his concubine. You may do to them what you wish, but to this man, do no such disgraceful thing." Despite his desperate words, the men refused to listen. In a horrifying turn of events, the Levite took his concubine and pushed her out to them. All through the night, they abused her until the morning. At dawn, they let her go. She stumbled back to the house, collapsing at the doorway. When the Levite arose and opened the door, he found her lying there with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, "Get up, let us go." But there was no response. She had died. Grieving and filled with outrage, the Levite lifted her body onto his donkey and returned to his home. There, he took a knife and cut her body into 12 pieces, sending each piece to the tribes of Israel as a shocking call to action. The gruesome act stirred the entire nation. People from Dan to Beersheba gathered, united in anger and sorrow. "What is this evil that has been done in Israel?" they cried. They swore to bring justice to the perpetrators and demanded the tribe of Benjamin hand over the guilty men. The Benjaminites, however, refused. Instead of delivering the wicked men, they chose to defend them, and a civil war erupted. The conflict was brutal, with thousands of lives lost on both sides. Ultimately, the tribe of Benjamin was nearly wiped out, leaving only a remnant to rebuild. The story of the Levite and his concubine remains a harrowing tale of moral decay, injustice, and the devastating consequences of unchecked sin. It serves as a reminder of the need for righteous leadership and the dangers of turning away from God's law. The tribes of Israel, outraged by the Levite's plea, swore not to return home until justice was served. They assembled an army of 400,000 soldiers and sent a message to the tribe of Benjamin, demanding the wicked men of Gibeah be handed over for punishment. The Benjamites, proud and defiant, refused. Instead, they rallied 26,000 men, including 700 elite warriors known for their skill with the sling. Though outnumbered, the Benjamites believed their strength would prevail. The war began with a series of brutal battles. On the first 2 days, the Benjamites triumphed, slaughtering tens of thousands of Israelite soldiers. The Israelites, shaken and confused, sought guidance from the Lord. They fasted, wept, and offered sacrifices at Bethel. Finally, God assured them that victory would be theirs. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone. And join us next week as we explore more faith-filled stories from the Bible.